Good morning, my brother.
If communities were undertaking a practice pre-colonial era, and that very practice was inimical to whatever the tenets of the Constitution are, how would they make sure, in the name of customs and tradition, they can, well, say they would want to re-adopt same traditional practices in the current era?
In the first place, you must understand that the Constitution makes provision for customary law and practices in our country. Therefore, for a customary law to be valid and enforceable, the customary law must be a law that has been in use a time immemorial. It must be reasonable. It must be something that is voluntarily accepted by the people. And now it must take the test of the constitutionalism, whether it does not violate any provisions of our Constitution or the laws of the land. So these are the yardstick. Okay. So if you are reenacting a customary practice, a law which is contradictory with the Constitution, then you are engaging unconstitutional behavior, and then the law will not accept that. So okay. That's the position.
Now, we have this practice and in which in many of the communities pre-colonial era in Anlo State, people sometimes were buried alive because of crimes they had committed, grievous or heinous crimes they had committed. In the current setup, can we have such a practice being reintroduced?
It's very difficult because although that practice may be being there type immemorial accepted by the people voluntarily, and then it is not their practice. The question that you have to ask is that, is it reasonable, and does it violate any provisions of our law and the Constitution? Yes. Why? Because you cannot bury a person alive, because it is inhuman, it is degrading under our Constitution, Article 15, and also you realize that for you to bury somebody and declare the person dead, you need to go through processes, the pathology test, and then coroner report act. All these things violate the acts of the land, the laws of the land, and the constitutional provisions. Therefore, such practice will be declared unconstitutional, inhuman, and illegality in this current dispensation. Therefore, anybody who attempts to go back to that practice will be violating the Constitution and will be committing serious criminal offense under our current legal regime.
Well, it's an incisive point you make there, but in the court system as well, people go through trials, and when they are finally declared guilty, let's say for a murder charge, for example, they are also sentenced either to death or whatever sentence the courts may decide. In such instances also, it's a murder trial, and following that it's a death sentence, and people sometimes either are maimed or as a result of it also lose their lives in the process because of the crimes they've committed. So same thing.
No, it's quite different because the offenses that are meted out to people who are found to be guilty is grounded in the laws of the land, and then it's also grounded under our Constitution. Our Constitution permits execution, it permits capital punishment, it permits death sentence. Therefore, once is grounded in our Constitution, that so be it. But when you have a practice which is go contrary to the Constitution and also the laws of the land, then the court will declare it so. So I think that we must draw the lines. Those ones that are permissible under the Constitution will go through, but those ones that are not permissible under the Constitution and the laws of the land will be declared invalid and illegal under our constitutional dispensation.
Well, we know we're talking law and we're talking the Constitution, etc. But in your own observation as a legal practitioner, do you think that these traditional customs and all that we had meaningful impacts as to the behavior patterns of the communities in which they were practiced?
Yeah, I think it do because those who practice these the behaviors for time immemorial may have a reasons for doing so. But we must look at the standard of the day, the constitutional provisions, and then what is reasonable at every important time. Can custom continue to be where it is when we have a lot of technology advancements, and when people are now becoming more enlightened and people now understand their human rights and the provisions that it gives. Therefore, we must begin to test the validity and then the reasonability of these practices vis-a-vis the constitutional provisions and current law. And then I think that we must be those who want to hold on to customary law and practice must tread cautiously not to violate the constitution, the laws of the land.
And before we let you go, if communities, by virtue of what you're saying, decide to defy whatever existing constitutional practices there are and undertake whatever their traditions dictate or they would want to reintroduce, what could be the likely repercussions?
Oh, the repercussions is quite simple. They'll be engaging in illegality, and the police, if it has a criminal element, the police will pick them up. If it does not, also anybody who finds the community affected by this practice may go to the Supreme Court and declare that practice as unconstitutional, and the Supreme Court will make an order to that effect that they should not be practiced. And then I think that we can petition the various ministries to look into the matter and to declare those actions and customary law as violating the rights of the people. And therefore, the repercussions are many. Either it may have a criminal connotation or constitutional violation, and the Supreme Court will declare so. So that will be the effect.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Morizampa, President of the Legal Advocacy Foundation. It just means that he's a legal practitioner.